AITA for asking my bio father's wife uncomfortable questions in front of her family. I don't know if I'm Tahir or not, opinions vary, so I decided to ask internet strangers. I, 16F, have had a bad year. My mom died in Feb and nothing has really gone well since then. She and my bio father were never married and he wasn't around while I was growing up. I have like a vague memory that he visited once when I was really little, but otherwise he hasn't been around. He says it was because he wasn't ready to be a dad, so it was better that he sent my mom child support and stayed away. Whatever. My mom doesn't have a lot of family, so when she died my bio father was the one who was asked to take me and he agreed. I wasn't a fan of the idea, but no one really cares what I think and it's better than being in the group home I was at while they figured everything out. He's been okay and mostly lets me do my own thing. His wife Cheryl treats me like I came from juvie and bothers me about every little thing from my clothes to the way I do laundry to telling me not to get in trouble, like I can't just go to school without doing something shady. They have 2 sons, 6 and 3, and the 6-year-old mimics her riding my ass. I told my bio father and he said he would talk to her, but now she just does it when he's not around. Her family was over to visit this weekend and her mom asked how I was settling in at school. Cheryl commented that I was staying out of trouble. I was nearby and it just hit a nerve, so I said, "Why do you think I would get in trouble?" She looked embarrassed and said that she knew I came from a rougher area and might not know how things worked here. I asked her what she meant by rougher area and she said it was more urban. I think her mom was embarrassed for her and said that she was sure I've always been well behaved. I asked Cheryl why she thought living in the city meant I would get into trouble. My bio father walked up then and the subject changed, but later Cheryl was mad because I embarrassed her in front of her mom and implied things. I think her mother must have said something. Bio father asked me about what happened and now they're mad at each other, but he says I should have talked to him instead of picking a fight. Comment. This. You didn't pick a fight, but you did provide her with some more rope to hang herself. She didn't have to make the initial statement and you responded to it really well. This is a really skillful way to handle this situation. You are NTA, and wise beyond your years, which is sadly common for folks who have been through trauma like losing a parent and dealing with a group home. This. I think you were respectful, and since she brought up trouble. If she's embarrassed then it sounds like her own mama called her out on it. It was quick thinking and I can't see where you did anything wrong. So much this. You handled this in the absolute best, most mature way possible, and this internet stagnant is incredibly proud of you. This is what I've heard called return awkward to sender. She was being awkward and shitty, and you just made the consequences of that fall on her, not you. Well done. This is a tough situation and everyone is adapting. Your stepmother brought the embarrassment to herself with her attitude. It sounds like your pushback worked. It's engaging the people to help her see reason. I hope your father gets better at having your back here, and I hope your stepmother starts treating you better. I still can't get over what an the dad is too. Like, yeah, stepmom is a big but dad wasn't ready to be a parent. But had been for 6 years with stepmom. He only just now entered Op's life because he pretty much had to. Her mom died 7 months ago. All Op had for 16 years was her mom. BTW, I am so sorry for your loss. I can relate actually. My dad was killed and it wrecked me. He was my only parent as well. I had him and his mom. My family was limited as well. But NTA at all Op. Yeah, but he literally did not do any of that. Talk to me, then nods and smiles and does nothing. According to Op, her dad talked to her and then went and talked with his wife, and the dad and wife got into an argument. That completely shoots down your claim that he does nothing. Yeah, he ran from his problems when he was younger and had to take Op in now, minor and very unfortunate circumstances, but by all accounts from Op, he is making an effort to be there for her. He's been absent for her life for over a decade and a half because he wasn't ready to be a dad. He's been a present and loving father to another child for over half a decade. It took him 7 months to take custody of his child after the other parent died. While it's certainly possible there are some adult byplays Op, and we, aren't privy to, he doesn't exactly have a good track record of taking care of problems in a timely manner. It's in Op's best interest to be skeptical of his intent until he's proved himself. It's very possible he was absent once he got his shit together, because you don't get to just waltz into the life of a child you abandoned and demand to play house, and I have no idea how long it would take CPS to place a child with a parent once the custodial parent died, but it's just as likely he wasn't interested in Op and was trying to avoid taking them in. Because he makes it sound like Op didn't try and talk to him before, but she did, and the wife just decided to be sneaky about it, so it didn't do much good before she was back on her bullshit. The wife is clearly disingenuous and has no consideration. How many times does he have to ask her not to be a C-word to his child? Once should have been enough. It is not like Op was in any way rude, so his rebuke is out of order. He wants his daughter to just take verbal slaps from his wife till she decides to stop giving them. In my experience, the vast majority of the time talking back is used to describe children questioning adults, and in most of those cases the children's questions are only being considered rude because the adults are expecting unquestioning obedience. If you don't want to be questioned about things, don't tell people to do stuff. And before anyone brings up the kids should listen to their parents without having to be told why. BS, good parents should explain things at an age-appropriate level. Next story 2. AITA for not paying one half of a settlement for a car accident my BIL was involved in. We went on a trip and rented a car through one of those apps. I planned this entire trip for my husband, myself, his sister, and her husband. I used my name as the primary on the rental car and added my insurance, and asked if my BIL wanted to add his information to be a second driver if they wanted to go do their own thing on the trip. He agreed and added his insurance and info too. My husband makes okay money and put himself through college, while they are in some debt and still working towards become more financially stable. We empathize with them and agreed they could pay us back for some of the things we did on the trip a little at a time until it was paid off. On the trip, BIL and Sil took the rental for a day and someone else caused a fender bender hit and run. They did everything right, reporting it to the police and worked with the rental car owner to figure out insurance stuff. The owner was very understanding and said things happen, enjoy the rest of your trip, we'll figure it out after. Which was awesome because it was causing so much stress on this trip. The trip ended and a month later BIL learns his insurance will not cover the damage because he was not the primary driver. That means, it would go to my insurance, raising it at least $50-100 monthly, for something I didn't do. The car owner worked with us and was very understanding and was willing to settle for $2,000 to make the problem go away. This seemed fair to us, but Sil and BIL believe we should pay half because it's unfair that it's happening to them and they didn't ever really want to be drivers on the rental. Sil was sending myself and my husband many texts saying it's unfair this is happening to them and don't feel obligated to pay. Calling us names and accusing us of not understanding their financial situation. My husband's solution was to just pay it to make the problem go away. But Sil expects this kind of treatment from him and is exactly what she wants. She also still owes us over $400 from separate things we did on the trip. I talked to Sil saying that this is hard for us to navigate and we don't wish them ill will by not helping pay, but that it's not necessarily our problem because we were not the ones driving the rental car at the time. Later a separate text from BIL to my husband that he will pay the check. So the problem has been solved, but now my husband is feeling guilty that he did not help out. My Sil is not speaking to either of us now. I'm frustrated because I feel like we have been really generous to them and it still wasn't enough for them. It sucks they have to pay that but we weren't the ones driving. Comment. If they never really wanted to be drivers on the rental, they should not have driven it. Having that said, you all should have checked beforehand the conditions. Why even put a second driver/insurance information, if insurance doesn't cover second driver? Calling you names is an absolute move. I probably would have offered to pay half, since I would have felt responsible for not checking the conditions for second driver insurance before actively offering it to them. As far as I understood, they didn't ask for it. But that's just me being a people pleaser. NTA, if they didn't ever really want to be drivers on the rental, why did they agree to? This is entirely their problem. Sil seems incredibly entitled. Just because they are struggling doesn't mean they aren't responsible. Let's brush past your BIL's explanation of the fender bender/hit and run without the other driver's plate number, that you didn't see. Is there a police report? Both you and BIL are on the rental and are responsible for returning the car in the condition it was given to you. You both signed for the car, you're both responsible. If they didn't want to have their names as drivers on the vehicle, they shouldn't have borrowed the car for the day. This shit happens, other cars damaging ours, on a daily basis. They would have been in bigger strife if it were their own car. I would also absolutely never go on a trip with them again, and limit contact as much as possible. I know it's his family but they sound like a hot mess that are going to cause you much trouble down the line if you interact with them too much. The driver is responsible when there is an accident. If BIL's insurance is saying they won't pay, have your company contact his company and let them hash it out. There is a police report. The info that's needed is there. You got seriously lucky things worked out as they did. Usually in rental situations where there are two drivers and one has an accident, you're on the hook no matter what happens. The real problem here is your SIL is entitled AF and your husband is choosing the path of least resistance by indulging her. That's something you're going to have to take into account for your own financial well-being. They owe you €400, I know it's dollars but I don't have the symbol, they want you to pay €1,000. Did you consider giving them €500 or €600 and tell them their debt is cleared? Then never involve yourself with them concerning money. But I think they're just trying to con you.